Hello and welcome to the Pastel Ballerina tutorials. Alright, so in this first tutorial we're going to be editing this image. This is what our image will look like. And let's get started. We're going to go over what the Painted Beauty collection and the Pastel Ballerina actions do. And what I'm going to start by doing with this image is cropping it down. So I believe I just cropped it in a little bit to get rid of that one tree. It was just a little too distracting to the eye because it's so close. As you can see, it's so close to the edge. Same with this pole right here. So I believe I just kept it as like a 4x6 size, and we're just going to bring it in on either side here just to crop those out. Alright, and we'll hit enter. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is just make a copy. So I'm going to drag my background layer to the little plus button here. It's going to make a copy of my background, and I'm going to tidy up some of this ground around her here. And you can use your heal tool for that or your patch tool. I'm going to use the patch tool. I just find it easier for like these branches and stuff, so that's what I'm going to do. We're just going to basically select the piece you want to get rid of and move it to another spot to get rid of it here. You want to keep it kind of on the same plane just so that, like, as you can see, this bit's a little bit out of focus and she's sharp right here with her. So yeah, you just want to make sure you're around the same plane when you're using your patch tool here. Didn't quite get that one. I'm going to try that one more time. I'm not steady right now for some reason. Alright. That should be good. Yep. Alright. So after I get this kind of all tidied up a little bit, I'm going to start playing some of the actions. Alright, that looks much better. I might get rid of this one here. And I'm just kind of looking around to see if anything else is like really distracting. To me this looks okay, so we'll flatten this. Actually, before I get into the actions, I will bring her up into Liquify. So I just made, after I flattened it, I made another copy of the background, and I'm going to go Filter, Liquify, and it'll bring up the Liquify tool. And I just want to kind of fix her hair a little bit here. Kind of even it out a bit more. Maybe bring out her little ponytail bit here. She's got cute little pigtails in. My tool is not wanting to work for me here. There we go. Okay, and then I'm just going to fluff out her little tutu a bit more here. And we'll hit OK. So that's before and that's after the liquify. Let's flatten that, and we'll get into the actions. Alright, so the first action I'm going to play is lighten overall. So I'm just going to hit play there, and this is one of the Painted Beauty collections. It's just letting me know to flatten my layers before playing any of the actions. Alright, and I'm going to play one more action here. We'll flatten this. And I'm going to play the paint on light action, and we're just going to paint with our brush at 100% just on her. Oh. I keep hitting the wrong button. Having issues. Alright, and then I'm just going to lower my opacity on my brush, and I'm just going to paint it, you know, make my brush bigger and just paint it around her a little bit just to blend that in. Alright, and we'll flatten that one. Alright, so once I've got my kind of tonal range where I want it, I'm going to start playing around with the ballerina formula, the pastel ballerina. So we're going to play the pastel tones first, and we'll hit play on this one. Okay, so as you can see, it just kind of washes everything out and really kind of makes that pastel feel. It does make her a little orange, so what I'm going to do is I might lower the opacity a little bit on the whole layer, maybe around 75, and then I'm going to paint this again at a low opacity brush, maybe 40%. I'm just going to paint it off of her. Oh, sorry, with my black brush. Yeah, I don't really want her skin to end up looking on the orange side. So I'm just going to paint that off of her a little bit. Alright, and we'll flatten that one. And then the next one I'll play is the Pop the Greens. Okay, and then what I'll do here is I will bring this layer down to 50%. Again, it's just adding that pastel color tone. I may bring it down a little bit more. Let's just see, 40%. Yeah, that looks good right there. We'll flatten that. And then I'm going to play the Pop the Blues. And this one's a paint on. So you basically just take your brush at 100% and paint on these layers. Again, like you paint it on at 100%, and then you can always lower the opacity on the layer right here if you don't like how bright it paints on. And it does kind of paint on quite bright, so I'll just paint that on in the skies there and just lower this opacity down. And I might bring my brush down a bit and just kind of paint in these around these trees here just to kind of blend that sky color in a bit more. And paint it off of some of these branches that I got up here. Okay. We'll flatten that. And then we'll play the Hazy background blur. Okay, and it's telling you that make sure your layers are flattened. Then you want to click OK when the pop-up box comes up, and then you just pick a mid-tone ranged color from the image. Alright, so it's want to just pick a mid-tone ranged color. So I'm going to pick maybe this green right in here. We'll hit OK. And now you just want to paint it on, again starting at 100%, and then you can always lower the opacity and blend it in with your brush a bit more. Okay, I'm going to lower my brush here and just kind of blend it in around her a bit more. Okay, and I'm going to lower the opacity on this. Okay, so it just really washes everything out. I'm just going to brush it off that tree in the sky a little bit, lower my brush here, and bring up my black brush and just kind of paint it off the sky and the tree back here a bit. And I might also paint it off the ground around her a bit more as well. Alright. That looks good. Flatten that. And then we will play our Hazy matte layer. And I will bring this down to 20%. Make it 25. Alright, so I'm going to take a picture and we can kind of go over the before and after of that. So this is before we've done any work, and this is after just running those few actions. And let's keep going. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is probably some hand editing actually. And I just want to change the color of the ribbon on her dress. So we're going to do a few things here. We're going to go selective color. And I'm going to go to the blues, and I'm actually going to take out some of the black in the blues. And the reason I'm doing that is, as you can see, if you look at her socks, I just want to take some of that blue tone out of her white socks. And it is affecting the ribbon, but since I'm going to be changing the color of the ribbon, I'm okay with that, so I'll just leave it. And we're going to go into the Hue and Saturation, and we're going to, from Master, we're going to go to Blue, and we're going to change the hue to a green tone, and I'm going to lighten it and desaturate it a little bit. Okay. Alright, so I have to invert this, so I'm going to hit Control I on the layer mask. I'm going to get my brush at 100% opacity, my white brush, and I'm just going to go in and paint over that blue ribbon. I don't need to be careful around her skin and stuff because there's no blue in her skin, so it's not going to affect the color of her skin at all, so I'm not worried. And I'm just kind of just making sure I'm covering up the ribbon. Alright, so just with those two layers, That is the difference there. And the next action I'm going to play is the frequency separation with sharpen 1. Press play. And what we want to do on the blur layer is we want to blur everything. So we're going to zoom right in. We're going to select her skin here. We're going to filter, blur, and Gaussian blur. And I usually keep it between 7 and 10%. And we'll just select another piece of her skin. And now you can hit Control Alt F and it will repeat the last action that you just played. When I say Control, that means Command on a Mac. So Control Alt F. The other thing that you can do, if the shortcut's not working for whatever reason, if you go filter, it always has the last filter you just played at the very top here, so you can always click that as well. Okay, so on the brighten and paint and brighten skin layer, you just want to grab your paintbrush again. We're going to change the blending mode of our paintbrush to lighten and the opacity to 10%. And we'll just zoom in here. Select, by hitting Alt, you just select a lighter piece of her skin and you're just going to paint over top of wherever you want to lighten up a little bit. So we'll do the same on this eye, lighten up the under eye here. Maybe the eyebrow, between the eyebrows here. And maybe on her legs a little bit as well. Okay, now on the gray layer, you want to take your Heal tool and you're just going to go over anything that any blemishes, anything that you want to clean up on our skin. She's got some dry skin on her arms here to take out. Alright, that looks good. And then, oh, missed something. Just take out those little spots on her socks here. Maybe this spot on her nose as well. Blend that out a bit. Alright, so on the sharpen details on the layer mask, whoops, cancel. On the layer mask, you're just going to paint. Change your brush back to normal and 100%, and you're just going to paint over the details of the face, so the eyes, nose, and mouth. Now this is a little much. I do have it at 40%. Sometimes that's okay, but most of the time I do bring it down a little bit. And that is before and after with the frequency separation. Okay, we'll flatten that. And then I will do the light creamy skin foundation. I'll just hit play. And again, you want to paint over this at 100%. And then you can always lower the opacity if you feel you need to. Okay, we'll flatten that one. The next one we will do is the iris detail. Now you just want to paint over the iris with this one at 100%. And it's just gonna kind of bring out some of the details a little bit. And we'll flatten that one. You can also play the eyeliner, like her eyelashes are already pretty dark, but I might just run it on the underside of her eye a little bit. I just like to enhance those under eyelashes, and we'll just bring that opacity down a little bit. And then we're going to play the blush layer and paint the blush on. We'll lower the opacity on that one. Okay. And we'll play the lipstick as well. Her lips are already pretty red, so you may have to just lower the opacity depending on how you want the makeup to look. And brighten the catch lights, continue that. And we're just going to paint that over her catch lights in her eyes. Brighten those up a little. Alright, so we've already done the special blur background with the pastel ballerina action, so I won't play this action here. I don't feel like we need to do any more paint on light, so I will just maybe play the Painterly vignette instead. And this does paint on quite dark at 100%, but again, you can always go over and change the opacity. And I just like to paint it on the edges. You can just lower the opacity down. Maybe a little bit more. And I may brighten it up just a little bit. Like 7 is good. Alright, now I can play my artistic dodge brush. Again, it's just telling you that to make sure your layers are flattened. And then on this one it's saying that you want to be on your dodge brush, you want it to be set to highlights and between 3 and 5%. And you just paint it on over the highlights of the images. So I'm going to actually start with the balloon and just paint on those highlights, kind of enhance them more. You can even do highlights in the trees, in the grass. Okay, I'm going to go into her now and just go over all of those highlights. Alright, we got all those highlights done. We'll flatten this and then play the artistic burn brush. And this time we are going to be on the burn tool. We'll have our range over shadows, and between 3 and 5% we will just paint over top of the shadows. Alright, so that is before we did the burn, that's after we did the burn, and we will flatten this. And then I always like to play my artisan oil paint finish. Play this. I'll hit continue. So I'll just kind of zoom in and you can see what the effect does. It really just softens everything up and gives a little bit more of a painterly look, but we don't want the eyes to be blurred, so we will go over on the paint effect layer, on the layer mask. We're just going to paint it off the eyes, nose, and mouth to keep those things sharp. And then with the detail one, you can paint over the eyes, and any other little details you want to bring out. I think I'm going to flatten this and play that my Artisan Dodge brush again, because I want to go back in on her eyes. I really like to brighten up the eyes a bit more, and I forgot to do that. So I'm just going to basically opposite of where the highlight is on the eye, I like to just go in with the Dodge brush and paint highlights on the opposite as well. And maybe we'll bring out those little highlights in her lips as well. Flatten that again. And then we will play the Sharpen for Print brush. And that's going to just be an overall sharpen, and it's quite a strong sharpen, so if you don't like how strong it is, you absolutely can lower the opacity. Usually I will bring it down to about 30. But with the paint effect and then the sharpen over top, it really makes it look, brings out that painterly feeling. I'll just flatten that. And then I like to add a bit of noise over top of everything just to blend everything together. So I'll play my add light noise action, and I will bring that down to 30% as well. And then I think we are done with the actions. So I'm just going to take a picture again. And we can see before, after we did some work, and the finished. So completely no work done on it, and the finished using the actions. So I really hope this tutorial was helpful for you, and that you picked up how to use the actions. The Painted Beauty actions are available in the store if you'd like to pick those up. They are available at 25% for you. The code for that is just under this video. And in the next video, I will show you some tutorials on how to get this similar effect with all hand editing. And so I'll see you in the next video. Bye!